Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Now today I'll be doing my NASCAR Cup Series player predictions. Obviously if you haven't seen my Xfinity and the Truck Series player predictions, they're going to be appearing sometimes up in the top right hand corner, so you can have a look at it for yourself and then come back here to watch my Cup Series player predictions. So let's just get right into it and let's just start off with all the drivers, which I'm pretty sure I have 14 drivers which were in the playoffs last year in 2023 and will be making the playoffs here in 2024. This includes William Byron, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Martin Truex Jr., Chris Buescher, Brad Keselowski, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, and a very surprising Michael McDowell. Yes, I'm Michael McDowell also making a playoff, so which I'll get to him later. But I guess like the obvious ones being William Byron. He was in the championship for maybe the most consistent driver out of anyone, I'll be honest, in last year, so that makes sense. Kyle Larson, I mean, he's with Hedrick Motorsports, he has the equipment, he's a phenomenal driver, so I think he's going to make the playoffs again. Could he maybe get a second one? Not really too sure. Kyle Busch, I mean, last year was his first year with RCR, and he was actually pretty good in RCR. He got 3 wins, so I think that's going to continue for him. I think he's going to get maybe a couple more wins, but we just have to wait to see. Ryan Blaney, obviously our reigning champion. No surprises there. He came out clutch at the latter half of the playoffs, so I think he's going to return there. Joey Logano, I mean, he's maybe the most skilled driver. Well, I should say most skilled, but he's a lot more veteran. Well, he's now a veteran driver, obviously. Still, he's won the championship in the next gen car before. And the last year was kind of a dud year for him. I still think he's gonna make it to the playoffs, so that doesn't really matter. Martin Truex Jr. Could this possibly be his final year in Cup Series? Not really too sure, but I still think he's gonna make it to the playoffs either way. Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski, both of them were the biggest surprises in my eyes for RFK Racing last year. Both of them somehow made Roush Fenway relevant again, which is impressive. So, and I mean, of just how like competitive these two are, especially on super speedways, maybe expect some of that maybe in the Daytona 500 or even Atlanta as well in the first 2 races of the season. Tyler Reddick, he came out swinging, won at Coda. I think also won at Kansas, I'm pretty sure as well last year. Might be wrong, might be Michigan. I can't remember. It was like one of those cookie cutter tracks. But I still think he's going to do very, very well with 2311 Racing. Denny Hamlin, it could be his year. I'm not really too sure. Christopher Bell, the young talent for Joe Gibbs Racing. I mean, makes sense. He's been consistent always for Joe Gibbs Racing, so he's definitely going to be up there. Bubba Wallace, he's been slowly improving, and I'm really excited to see that. I think he's definitely going to get maybe 1 win maybe this year, but we should have to wait and see. Ross Chastain, obviously for Trackhouse. Once again, he's basically the face of Trackhouse. And even though last year was a bit of a dud year for him, he only got 2 wins, I'm pretty sure, which I mean, still not too bad. I still think, or maybe 3 wins actually. I still think he's going to continue his trajectory to make it to the playoffs. And Michael McDowell, that's a bit of a spicy one. Actually, because of road courses, really. And also super speedways. He's been really good on super speedways. Short tracks is not really his thing. However, intermediates are also pretty good. Also, the reason why I also said Michael McDowell is because Front Row Motorsports, they have formed a technical alliance with Team Penske. Not with RFK Racing anymore, which I'll be honest, that's still pretty good. But they're now with Team Penske. So they're basically now with where the Wood Brothers are. But they obviously are 10 times better than Wood Brothers. So I think McDowell's going to make it to the playoffs, probably by a win. And Todd Gilliland as well. I think he's probably going to be a top 20 driver, in my opinion. I mean, we saw a glimpse of flashes of his consistency, especially, I'm pretty sure, during the summer stretch, I'm pretty sure, where he got, like, top 10s after top 10s after top 10s, and he was, like, improving massively. But then he kind of just fell off at the end of the season. I hope that we get to see that peak Todd Gilliland that we saw last year, but throughout the whole season, so hopefully that'll be the case. Now I have 2 spots left. 2. These 2 drivers were the drivers that missed out on the playoffs, and actually on my thing, I actually had them both swapped. So I'm actually going to flip it. Let's first start off with Chase Elliott. To be fair, Chase Elliott only missed the playoffs because he had an injury. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to get an injury. I do think he's going to make it to the playoffs, either by points or wins. We know how capable he is in the next gen car. Even though he was pretty unlucky for not getting a single win last year, I still think he's going to get a win. If not, point his way into the playoffs. It should be pretty easy for Chase. But hopefully there's not going to be no snowboarding accidents this year. Hopefully so, because if so, then Chase is going to be very, very screwed. Now the final driver that I have is actually, we get into that. I guess we'll talk about some of the drivers that just missed out. I think probably the biggest one is Alex Bowman. I just don't see Bowman really making it to the playoffs. I just don't see that happening, I'll be honest. I mean, he is a skilled driver. He is a skilled driver. He's a phenomenal driver. I will say that. But I just don't really see him making it to the playoffs. Just because, well, the talent that, especially in the Cup Series, is just it's just 10 times better than anyone was expecting. And I mean, he could definitely point his way into the playoffs. I just think he's just going to miss out on the skin of his teeth. That's all. Maybe also the Legacy Motor Club drivers like John Nemechek, Eric Jones, both of them are very, very good. They're now with Toyota. Definitely have a decent chance, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they could maybe be very lucky, maybe on the Super Speedway, but I'm not really too sure though. Stewart-Haas Racing. I have no Stewart-Haas Racing drivers making it to the playoffs. No Chase Briscoe, Ryan Preece, no Gregson, Josh Berry. Maybe the closest one is probably maybe Briscoe, in my opinion. Considering, I mean, Briscoe, to be fair, he did get a, like, what was it, like a 30, 50 point penalty or something pretty early into the season, which basically fucked up his whole season, 2023. So that kind of screwed him over. And, I mean, Stewart-Haas have also had a string of just bad performances, and with Gregson and Berry coming into the team, I don't know if that's really gonna happen. They could maybe having like a year of like Hendrick back, what was it, like back in like 2018, 2019, where they were just shit the entire time. I mean, that could possibly be a thing, but I just don't see Stewart-Haas Racing really making it to the playoffs. I don't think Justin Haley's gonna make it, even with Rick Ware equipment, which actually has improved massively. I don't think he's gonna make the playoffs, or even Colleagues as well. I don't think that's gonna happen. So the final driver that I have to make it to the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series playoffs is Ty Gibbs. I mean, it's not really a bit of a surprise. I mean, there were definitely glimpses of flashes of him possibly winning a race. I think, obviously, I mean, I guess like the biggest one recently is probably the Coliseum, but that's obviously not really points, so that doesn't really matter. I think Bristol, the night race, he was pretty close there. I think he was dominating, I'm pretty sure, like at some point of the race, and he just kind of just fell off, I'm pretty sure. So there definitely has been some time where Gibbs has actually had some great performances in races. You just need to just convert those into wins. I do think he's very capable of getting a win, at least for his own team, for Joe Gibbs Racing. So I do think he's going to make it to the playoffs, and I do hope he does. Could he maybe be a round 1 exit? Not really too sure. Could maybe be a round 2 exit, to be honest, because this is the first time that he's going to be in the playoffs. And plus, he was in contention of making it to the playoffs last year until he got crashed out with a big wreck. So I still think he's going to make it to the playoffs. So I mean, there could be like Bowman that he might be versing, like Bowman, Jones, probably not Daniel Hemrick. Gillen maybe, I'm not really too sure. Maybe the Spire guys, maybe even like LaJoy or Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar. They could all be battling for that one spot, because there's so many like competitive teams in the Cup Series, it could really be anyone's game. I mean, Spire, they've improved massively. They bought out KBM with a whole heap of cash and money, so definitely could actually be really competitive. With the Rick Ware, I think they formed a technical alliance with the RFK Racing, so that is a great sign for them, and a bunch of other teams I do think are probably going to be playoff contention teams. So that is my list, as you can see right here, and we'll see how wrong or right I am to the playoffs are. But comment down below on who you think is going to make it to the playoffs, and who do you think I missed out on. So that's really about it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you guys next time in the next one. Goodbye.